Now that we have the silliness of those test stones out of the way, and these are the 0.9 of a millimeter interruption in data layer and black dots, I would like to welcome you to the video about this NAC D3. Some people call it CD3. So as normally happens, it arrived here and it wouldn't read CDs. The main problem was that, well, the two problems really. One was that what happened was that the turntable was pushed in too hard on the spindle and would just rub. It upsets me. I didn't get the original pack, so I'm using my own. I like to have them perfectly sitting there. So that was that. I lifted it up, and the second problem was that on servo board, one of the capacitors just leaked out and corroded the track, and so I replaced 3 capacitors there because, well, it was all apart. Why not do it? Somebody was at it before me, because the screws were missing on that servo board. Servo board is underneath the actual CD. So that's that. Normally, these players suffer from the capacitors getting old. These are Rubicon capacitors. In this case, I tested them all. They're all within specs. They might fail, they might not. At the moment, there's no point of really replacing them because, you know, it works well. But with time, that would need to be done. What happens is that they're sitting close to that regulator or these, so I just push them away so they're right in the middle. And the same thing happens here, so I push those sort of away from a regulator a bit. And so these two. These are the mains ones that go, but after a time, all of them really fail. So in this particular unit, somebody fitted a set of RCA. So, I mean, if you look there, I've seen better soldering, but, you know, it works, so, you know, why not? So now you know that you have a ground between those two resistors, and the left and right channels are each side of that relay. The unit overall is in pretty good condition, you know, like almost like new. Oh, there's a bit of a scratch there of some sort, but nothing major. Sadly, it has a sort of a bit of a, you know, some of the paint rubbed off, and there's a bit of a ding there. But other than that, it's pretty good. I suppose that could be repainted in some way. There is also another issue that happens sometimes with those units, and what happens is that if you stop the CD, it will still spin. And the reason for this is that those motors have a sort of like a bar fitted across the spindle, and that stops the CD from doing so. But in this particular unit, obviously this is not the motor for that unit, but just there are those couple of little brackets on each side to hold that bar. And of course one was missing and this one was broken, you know, so I just brought it here as a, oh, it actually caught into that thing. But couple of those brackets hold that bar, and that bar is pressed against the spindle and it stops it from rotating. So one could replace that motor, but, you know, for me to find it, you know, that particular model would take me probably an hour or two, and that would add a lot of money. But all it does at the moment is that when you stop it, well, it rotates a bit. You know, you can stop it and it won't rotate, and if you push it, it will. You know? So I don't think that it's worth really spending money on replacing that motor, because whenever you use it, you will rotate it, and if you're not using, you cut the power to it, and so it's just maybe it is a bit unsightly that it already rotates before you put it into the player. Interestingly, in those things, you have to wait for a while for it to read table of contents, and the same thing goes when you push play. Nothing. Oh, it started now, but normally it sort of hesitates before it spins. Before it spins a CD. Well, that's about all. I'll ask the owner if he wants to spend some money on that motor, but I don't think it is necessary. Otherwise, beautiful units. And they do sound very, very well. I had a situation, one of these, I had a Sudgen P51 and C51 amp, and a Gale 401s, and I tell you, it was more analog sound than any turntable will give you. It was absolutely brilliant. I put it to Sudgens because it has, DIN output, and so the Sudgen so I hooked it up with the DIN cable, and it was absolutely beautiful. Well, that's enough of my waffling for today, and see you again next time. Bye-bye.